Good day everyone, I am Zanja Kim P. Portose, a second-year student taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, studying at Negros Oriental State University, Shatan Campus. Today, we will be talking about Tabanata's Wife, a short story written by Sunay Hamada. So, Tabanata's Wife. The theme of love and freedom runs throughout Sunay Hamada's Tabanata's Wife. This short story was hailed as the finest Filipino love story, where it perfectly depicted the universality of love. As this was a Japanese-Filipino short story, it also dealt with ethnic differences. This short story was very personal to Hamada because he was of Japanese descent. His father is Japanese and his mother is from Eboloy tribe of Cordillera. It is clear that his piece is short, precise, and uses simple and space language. Whenever the character does something, he describes it accurately and adds subtext about what the character is thinking or feeling. Hamada only describes the bare minimum or the basic minimum of what is happening in the story. However, Hamada's minimalist writing style forces the reader to focus on the character relationships and make them aware of both spoken and unspoken feelings. Hamada, a storyteller or a master storyteller, reveals more about Fasang and Tabanata through what is not said. The great question of the story has always been why Fasang would want to leave her husband, who has been almost entirely kind to her and their son, on whom he adores. According to Hamada's story, she was simply too young when she agreed to marry the solemn stranger for whom she had previously worked as a servant and farmhand. Becoming his wife and mother may have simply been too much too soon, as evidenced by the way she eagerly loses herself after a difficult childbirth in the Hollywood movies playing in the town center. Perhaps the experience gives her opportunity to dream herself into the romantic freedom of the stories that these magically moving films offer her. The vegetal metaphor that has flitted in and out of view throughout the film finally fully unfurls itself here at the story's crisis point. That love is pain and rupture of being truly alive. It is life's burning and blossoming point in which the self-cherished bliss is revealed as living fully and radiantly in the other. Because love is life lived to the fullest, as its most fertile, its absence or forfeiture must result in life's own shortening. The short story maintains Hamada's proposed motivation for Fasang's actions, but textures and deepens it by introducing into the picture the quietly simmering cultural conflict between identity and difference. Fasang leaves Tabanata in the short story partly because despite his love, she can still accept his otherness and seeks the comfort of the familiar and the same, which is her own blood. She soon realizes that personal goodness has nothing to do with kinship or socially acceptable structures of familiarity. It is at this point that she recalls the radiant truth that the stranger she has cruelly abandoned is her husband who loves her and her son unconditionally. For symbolism, lamp is the symbol of love, and it will always be so. It may dim at times, but it will always burn brightly, just like Tabanata's love for his wife. On the other hand, the movies in the cinema represent the various temptations Fasang has faced. Plants, crops, and cabbages represent Tabanata's wife, wherein when it is full of love and care, it flourishes, but when it rots, it lacks love. So language, cultural differences, and age differences represents the story's main conflict. Filipinos are lively and expressive people, while Japanese is for conformity and strict adherence to the tradition. Tabanata is more introverted, a homebody, caring and compassionate than Fasang. Fasang, on the other hand, is a young, daring woman who is devoted to her extended family. This type of differentiation, which goes beyond the patterns on the tapes or the color of the skin, may evoke the ideas of ethnocentrism or stereotyping, both of which are expressed in various ways by various cultures around the world, including the Cordilleran culture. This short story depicts the lesson of a couple's marriage, particularly one with a foreign partner. The native struggled to adjust to her husband's normal world because it was so different from her own. And in terms of the written piece, it has some parts where it is frequently noticed that it is more on the Japanese one because they are the ones who suffered, as demonstrated by the short story. Because of those instances, it was thought to be more Japanese literature, and this was a misconception because Filipino culture was thought to be on the bad side or the negative side. However, it clearly reflects the time of the Philippines. Although it may appear harsh to some, it was our reality in some ways, and the lesson we can learn from the short story, as well as the situation depicted in the short story, are still happening today. And the short story clearly demonstrated how we are in the utang na loob cycle, which begets humility.